Now, as mentioned previously, FIFA has cancelled the group stage draw for the 2023 Under-20 World Cup in Indonesia. The draw was slated to take place in Bali last Friday. However, the Indonesian Football Association, or PSSI, suspected that the cancellation came, as the governor of Bali, Iwayan Koster, refused to welcome one of the teams, namely the Israeli national football team, from competing in Bali. To further discuss the controversy surrounding Israel's involvement in this year's Under-20 World Cup in Indonesia and shed a light on the issue, we now have Teuku Rezasyah. Good afternoon, sir. Indonesia does not have diplomatic ties with Israel. Can you tell us more about this policy from, let's say, historical viewpoint? Because if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Israeli had taken part in several sporting events being held in Indonesia.
Correct. Indonesia has no formal diplomatic ties with Israel, although the two countries maintain quiet trade and tourism contacts. Yeah? And majority of Indonesians view Israel negatively and due to its long occupation of the land of the Palestine. And then Indonesia has strongly stood up for the rights and freedoms of the Palestinians and has supported the struggles of the Palestinians. And then Indonesia government and its people, we have shown our strong concern on the fate of the Palestinians who are currently living under the tight Israeli occupation. Whenever there are sad stories in the occupied line, such as killings and the bulldozering of the Palestinian houses, Indonesians show their critics internationally. And then Indonesia continued to show its pro-Palestine support at the United Nations and also in coalition with countries inside the organization of the Islamic Conference and the non-aligned movement, where we tend to be critical on Israelis' need to adhere to all resolutions introduced by the United Nations. So this is the strong position held by Indonesia.
So, does this policy also apply in the region? To other ASEAN countries in this case?
Well, Israel has diplomatic missions in Thailand, Singapore, Vietnam, and the Philippines. And in these four countries, we hardly hear critics on what Israel is doing in the occupied land. So this issue only happened in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei Darussalam.
I see. Okay, so regarding to my previous question, the first question, because I mentioned that this recent rejection of the Israeli national football team is relatively new, since the Jewish state's athletes had previously also competed in Indonesia without any problem. For example, Israeli shuttler Misha Zilberman competed in the 2015 Badminton World Championship. Yuval Shemla and also Noah Shiran competed in last year's Rock Climbing World Championships, while also Mikhail Yakovlev, Rotem Tene, and Vladislav Loginov competed in the 2023 Track Cycling Nations Cup, a cycling championship, as we all know, that took place last February. And these athletes also participate in the 2022 Esport World Championship, the Israelis athletes, which also took place in Bali. Why were there no issues with Israel's participation back then in the previous sporting events? Why has it only become a major problem now in this year's Under-20 World Cup?
Well, this is soccer, yeah. Soccer unites people all over the world, and also in Indonesia, soccer has made people concerned on what is going. So, in this case, while people are showing concern on the ongoing of this FIFA Under-19, we tend to forget that it was Indonesia who won the bidding by the FIFA to organize this event long before the winning of the Israeli in their zone in Europe. So when Israeli had the ticket to come to the final session in Indonesia, it was about 9 months ago. And Indonesian public were very quiet in this regards. And all of a sudden, we are talking about this. I think this is something, in my opinion, this is related, yeah, to the coming general election inside Indonesia, where political parties and people tend to rally for public support.
I see. So let's say this already happened, and we've also heard that Indonesia can be sanctioned by FIFA, and people in the social media have been debating on what would be the sanction. Now, should we fail to host this year's Under-20 World Cup, sir, what is your take on this situation as an international relations, international relations experts? Would this affect anything in the in political world, namely like Indonesia now is under the spotlight for being the chairman of ASEAN, let's say?
Yes, time is not on our side at the moment, yeah. Technically, the drawing should be done on the 31st of March, in a couple of days to come, yeah. But so far, I'm quite optimistic, yeah, on the mission conducted by Mr. Erick Thohir. He's in Switzerland at this very moment, and at the same time, I'm also seeing that the FIFA management they are still checking all stadium and facilities inside Indonesia, and they have not made negative comments on our readiness to host this event. So I think the opportunity is still 50-50.
Yeah.
And what needs to be done is that the Indonesian government, we need to consult the relevant actors inside Indonesia to convince them that the arrival of the Israeli contingent is under FIFA authorization, with Indonesia won the bidding for these opportunities long before the COVID-19. And in this case, as Israel is the member of FIFA and the United Nations, I think Israel contingent have rights to attend meetings, conferences, and in the past, critics toward them were kept at the minimum level. I think we have huge homework inside Indonesia, and in this case, I think the government of Indonesia need to convince the relevant parties inside Indonesia that prior or before the arrival of the Israeli contingent, they have been informed on the rights for their fair play, and not to link this event with any political issues related with Indonesia-Israeli relations. And then at the same time, this Israeli contingent will be under tight monitor by the Indonesian people, and then they who are against the arrival of this Israeli contingent, they are pleased to witness the fair play done by the Israeli contingent, among others. We are still discussing at the moment, yeah, with FIFA about the national anthem and about the symbols of the countries. And I think, I sincerely hope, yeah, Mr. Erick Thohir missions will come to a success.
All right, sir, under this current circumstances, from your point of view as an international relations expert, what do you want to say, if any, to the Indonesian government?
Well, I think we need to honor our commitment. That's one. And two, we need to acknowledge that the ongoing of this issue will affect Indonesian tourism, will affect foreign investment in Indonesia, and will also affect the credibility of Indonesia to honor its international commitment. So this is a huge homework for Indonesia. And before, I sincerely hope we are working very hard for this.
All right, Teuku Rezasyah, international relations expert from Pajajaran University Bandung. Sir, thank you so much for your time, for being in the show, and please do take care.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.